The Sex Worker Freedom Festival is the alternative International AIDS Conference 2012 event for sex workers and allies. It runs from the 21st to the 26th of July in Kolkata, India. US government travel restrictions for sex workers mean that many of us will not be able or will not want to go to the International AIDS Conference in Washington this year. The Sex Worker Freedom Festival is an alternative event for sex workers and our allies to protest our exclusion and to ensure the voices of those excluded are heard in Washington.
Somos parte de la solución, no somos el problema. Vivan las trabajadoras, trabajadores, periodistas que nos están apoyando. Gracias.
Always be with you. Over here, we have all the 5 months telling the issues.
Legalize drugs.
Sex work is work.
Las mujeres transgénero no somos HCH.
Decriminalize sex work.
セックスワーカーを犠牲者か犠牲者じゃないに種類に分けるな。
My body, my business. My body, my business.
The festival program will focus on freedoms that we are all entitled to. Freedom of movement and to migrate, freedom to access quality health services, freedom to work and to choose occupation, freedom to associate and unionise, freedom to be protected by the law, freedom from abuse and violence, and freedom from stigma and discrimination.
So, we, NSWP and the regional sex worker networks are asking to meet with Eric Gooseby as the head of PEPFAR to negotiate a way that we can have PEPFAR funding for sex workers' HIV prevention, sexual rights and health services, for ART services for sex workers in PEPFAR countries. Sex workers are discriminated against and refused treatment. The second part of the PEPFAR anti-prostitution pledge says that even though they sign this pledge, they will not discriminate against sex workers in any US-funded services. The US government needs to enforce Part 2 of the PEPFAR pledge and make sure they do not fund services that discriminate against sex workers, that deny sex workers condoms, and that deny sex workers STI treatment and vital life-saving ART treatment. That's our simple thing. All we want to do is get those thousands and thousands and thousands of positive sex workers who are denied treatment in PEPFAR countries onto treatment now. Then we are willing to negotiate about how the prevention services work for sex workers. It's a reasonable demand. It's a demand that is supported by the epidemiology of the epidemic in Asia and Africa and Latin America. If you do not provide prevention services to sex workers, you cannot halt the HIV epidemic. Every other dollar is wasted. This is proven. This is a proven fact, and it is being ignored by all the funders. That's our message. If you want to stop HIV, you need to engage with and work with sex workers in prevention services and treatment services.
Rehabilitation, we are tired of this. It's imposing all their policies on sex workers. We want PEPFAR to fund decriminalization of sex workers. We want recognition. We want respect. We want social inclusion. We are tired of these imposing programs in Africa. We want this to end. PEPFAR money is killing us. PEPFAR money is imposing policies against sex workers. It's violating our human rights. We are tired of PEPFAR funding. We want our freedom. We want our space. We want to be workers. Sex work is work.
The rehabilitation center that have been running that anti-sex workers should be stopped. The abuse against sex workers like rape under the term refueling should be stopped. And the US government should not continue to promote this kind of program. that while they are promoting the human rights, democratic in the country and around the world, and providing or running this program that against anti-human beings like sex workers. So I am here to call on government of the United States to stop providing funding that anti-sex worker or anti-human beings. And we all need rights, sex workers like everybody else.
Sex workers united, will never be defeated. Sex workers united, will never